everyone. Thank you for coming. I'll just quickly repeat what I said before as I see a lot of new people have joined. Please have your camera on for the duration of this event so that it is as interactive as possible, and also have all your puja items ready. Also, we have emailed you a puja booklet prior to this event, so if you have that open, you will be able to follow along with our shlokas and artis. For this Zoom call, we will be taking screenshots and a recording of this event. And by default, everyone is muted. So if you would like to interact with us and with everyone, please use the chat feature. Namaste everyone and happy Ganesh Chaturthi. My name is Shrestha Kanpal and I'm a student at UC Irvine. Welcome to Hindu Yuva's Samuhik Ganesh Utsav. I hope you're having a good evening and are ready for a night filled with beautiful music, presentations, and of course, a Ganesh Puja. Please welcome Amrita Howde, the National President of Hindu Yuva. So welcome everyone and for a short overview of what Hindu Yuva is.
Namaste everyone. I'm incredibly delighted to welcome you to the Hindu Yuva Samuhik Ganesh Utsav. Usually, many of us would have attended celebrations in our local Hindu Yuva chapters and cities. We have so many fond memories of those gatherings, which often include a meaningful puja, spending time with friends and family, music, and of course, lots of special sweets. We're excited to come together virtually this year and create new memories with all of you. This Ganesh Utsav is one of many ways that we at Hindu Yuva come together to practice, preserve, promote, and protect our Hindu Dharma. Our vision is global, but our work is local. We individually and collectively, as 36 Hindu Yuva chapters across the United States and Canada, are confident in our identity, represent the Hindu voice on our campuses, and serve the communities where we live and beyond. Yuvas host incredibly unique events throughout the year. When new students come to campus, we welcome them through Suswagatam, supporting their logistics and fun events to get to know others on campus. Yuvas come together to discuss various topics and grow their knowledge about Hindu Dharma, current events, history, and more through Speaker on Campus and book club. Through interfaith dialogue, we learn from fellow students and faith-based organizations and find opportunities for synergy and collaboration. Closing out the year, Yuvas organize graduation ceremonies to celebrate their graduates with a Havan, or this year, with a virtual puja and inspirational speakers. Seva, or selfless service to humanity, is one of our core values. We came together this year, along with Seva International, Vivekananda House, and Bharatiyam, to support our fellow youth in a time of need during this global pandemic. Over 80 Yuvas quickly organized a student support network with a nationwide helpline, which supported over 400 youth with immediate food, accommodation, legal, medical support, and much more. But it doesn't stop there. We continue to work together on longer-term support, particularly around professional development, career guidance, and mental health support. I'm so thrilled to see all of us coming together today on this auspicious occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi. We all may be familiar with the significance of each part of Ganesha and can find inspiration there. Large ears to listen to the needs of others and our community. A large head to think big and outside of the box. A broken tusk representing the sacrifice needed for a good cause. And with the mouth as support, our nimble path to stand up for the Hindu cause wherever we are needed and whenever. And use our values as Hindu youth to bring peace and to unite the society around us. Dhanyawad, and once again, welcome to the Hindu Yuva Samuhik Ganesh Utsav.
So we will be moving on to our next presentation, which will be taken by Utkarsh Desarda from Arizona State University, and he'll be giving us a short presentation on what Ganesh Puja is and its significance.
Hello everyone, happy Ganesh Chaturthi, and I welcome you all on this very auspicious day. My name is Utkarsh Desarda and I am a student and part of Hindu Yuva at Arizona State University. And today I'm going to tell you something about Ganesh Utsav. So, as we all know, Ganesha is a god who is worshipped first before all others arrive at this time of the year. And he stays with us for 10 days, and then Visarjan happens on the last day of the festival. So, there is an interesting story behind the Ganesh Visarjan. It is believed that Lord Ganesha returns to the Mount Kailash to join his parents Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati on the last day of the festival. So the celebration of Ganesh Chaturthi also denotes the significance of the cycle of birth, life, and death. Ganesha, who is also known as the Lord of New Beginnings, is also worshipped as the remover of obstacles. So it is believed when the idol of Ganesha is taken out for immersion, it also takes away various obstacles of the house, and these obstacles are destroyed along with the Visarjan. So, like us, every year people wait in the great anticipation of to celebrate the Ganesh Chaturthi. This auspicious event, as many of you might know, that it's not only celebrated in India but in many parts of the world, like in countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Pakistan, United States, UK, Canada, Mauritius, and many more. But do you guys know, like, why do we celebrate the Ganesh Chaturthi and how did it even start? So it started at the time of great Maratha king Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and after the start of the British rule, the festival lost state patronage and became a private family celebration in Maharashtra until its revival by Indian freedom fighter and social reformer Lokmanya Tilak. Tilak praised the celebration of Samuhik Ganesh Utsav in his newspaper Kesari and dedicated his efforts to launch the annual domestic festival into large and well organized public event. He recognized that Ganesha appeals as the god for everybody, and he chose Ganesha as the god that bridged the gap between other communities, thereby building a grassroots unity across all Indians to oppose British colonial rule. So yes, apart from cultural aspect, Ganesh Utsav has got its own significance in India's struggle for freedom. So this was something that I wanted to share with you all. I welcome you all. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to you all. And let us take the blessings of Lord Ganesha and please enjoy the event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentations. Now we will be moving on to our interactive virtual puja, which will be led by YUVAs in Georgia State University, Georgia Tech, and University of Georgia. Please keep the puja booklet open that we emailed you prior to this event so that you're able to follow along with the shlokas and artis. And in order to view both the puja and the booklet, I would recommend using split screen so that you're able to see both.
Okay, now we are going to apply kumkum and haldi to the god murti before we start, or the Ganesh murti. Apply a little of sindoor, chandan to it as well, and put some akshita on top. As we are praying to the murti before.
Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Om Ganapataya Namo Nama Shri Siddhi Vinayaka Namo Nama Ashtavinayaka Namo Nama Ganapati Bappa Moria.
Now we will now do the abhishekam for the murti, so please move it into a bowl-like vessel. And also take your now tirtham and slowly pour on it while you say the Atharva Shivsha or listen to it.
Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shriyama Devaha Bhadram Pakshe Makshabhirya Jatraha Sire Range Sushtuvan Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayahu Om Sastina Indro Vruddhashabaha Sastina Pusha Vishveraha Sastina Traksho Arishtanemihi Sastino Bruspatir Dadatur Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Ganapataye Tameva Pratyaksham Tattvamasi Tameva Kevalam Kartasi Tameva Kevalam Dhartasi Tameva Kevalam Hartasi Tameva Sarva Khalvidam Brahmasi Tvam Sakshat Atmasi Nityam Vratam Vachmi Satyam Vachmi Avatvamam, Avtuvaktaram, Avashrotaram, Avadhataram, Avadhataram, Avanujanam, Avashisham, Avapashyatat, Avapurastat, Avotaratat, Avadakshinatat, Avachodvatat, Avadharatat, Sarvatoma Pahi Pahi Samantat, Tvam Anmaya Svam Chinmaya, Tvam Anandamaya Svam Brahmamaya, Tvam Sachidananda Dityosi, Tvam Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvam Jnanamayo Vidyanameyosi, Sarvam Jagdidam Tattva Jayate, Sarvam Jagdidam Tattva Stishtati, Sarvam Jagdidam Tvai Lemeshati, Sarvam Jagdidam Tvai Pratyeti, Tvam Bhumirapo Nalo Nilo Navaha, Tvam Chatvari Vakpadani, Tvam Gunatrayatitaha, Tvam Dehatrayatitaha, Tvam Kalatrayatitaha, Tvam Mooladharasitosi Nityam, Tvam Shaktitrayatmakaha, Tvam Yogino Dhyayanti Nityam, Tvam Brahmastam Vishnusam Rudrasam Indrasam Agnisam Vayusam Suryasam Chandramasam Brahma Bhurbo Saroma Kanadem Purnamuchaya Varnadim Tadanamtaram Anuswara Partara Ardhendulasitam Tarena Ruddham Eteva Manuswarupam Akala Purvarupam Akaro Madhyama Rupam Anuswara Shanti Rupam Bindu Rutara Rupam Nada Sandanam Sahita Sandhi Saisha Ganesh Vidya Ganakurishi Nityar Gayanti Channaha Ganapatir Devata Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Ekadantaye Vignehe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Manodanti Prachodayat Ekadantam Chaturhastam Pasham Kushidarinam Radam Chavardam Haste Vibranam Mushakhatvajam Raktam Lambodara Shurpakarnakam Raktavasasam Rakta Gandhanu Liptangam Rakta Pushpe Supujitam Bhaktanukampinam Devam Jagatkaradamachutam Averbhuta Shishtadar Prakutir Purushatara Evam Dhyayanti Yonityam Sa Yogi Yoginam Varaha Namo Vratapataye, Namo Ganapataye, Namo Pratamapataye, Namo Stestu Lambodara Ekadantaya Vignanashine Shivasutaye Sri Varadamurtaye Namo Namaha Etat Atharvashusha Yodite Saha Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate Saha Svigna Sukamedate Saha Pancha Mahapapa Pramuchite Sarayano Papam Nasheti Rataryano Ratrikutam Papam Nasheti Sayam Prato Pujunano Apapo Bhavati Sarvada Yunano Apavigno Bhavati Dharma Artha Kama Moksham Chivindati Idam Atharvashisham Ashishayana Devam Yadi Moha Dasati Sapapiyan Bhavati Sahasta Vartana Yam Yam Kamadite Tom Tamanena Sadayeta Anena Gatim Avishinchati Savagni Bhavati Chaturta Manashan Japati Savidyavan Bhavati Vakyam Brahmada Vivheti Kadachaneti Yo Dharme Ki Yajti Saveshno Bhavati Yo Laje Jati Saveshnavan Bhavati Samedavan Madhvati Yo Gotka Sastreni Yajti Savanchita Falavapnoti Yasaja Samirber Yajte Sasarvam Labate Ashto Brahmana Samrit Kraitva Surya Varchasti Bhavati Surya Gari Pratima Sanido Vajapta Siddha Mantro Bhavati Mahavigna Pramuchte Mahadosha Pramuchte Mahapapa Pramuchte Sasarvad Bhavati Ya Evam Eva Ipipanishata Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
And now slowly take a towel or take a damp towel and wash and clean the murti. And now put again haldi and kumkum on it. Some chandan. And now some akshara. And now put a flower if you like.
Okay, now we'll be doing prasad.
Create a little tiny box, put your prasad on top of it, go around it 3 times.
Om Pranay Swaha, Panay Swaha, Udanay Swaha, Samanay Swaha, Vyanay Swaha, Om Brahmane Swaha. Om Pranay Swaha, Panay Swaha, Udanay Swaha, Samanay Swaha, Vyanay Swaha, Om Brahmane Swaha. Light the agarbatti and go ahead and go around the Ganesha. Go ahead and put it back in its stand. Okay, now we'll go ahead and move on to Arti.
So get a plate, put your diya. Your Arti thali should contain one diya, some karpur. Now you can light the diya on the Arti plate. Okay, now we'll be doing the Arti. It will be lead and follow. It will be Sukhakarta, Dukhaharta.
Sukhakarta, Dukhaharta, Varta, Vinati. Durgi Purvi Prem Krupa Jayati. Sarvangi Sundar Utishendurachi. Kanthi Jhalke Mal Mukta Faranchi. Dev Jai Dev Jai Mangal Murti. Darshan Matre Maya Kamana Puti Jai Dev. Ratna Khachita Fara Tuz Gauri Kumara. Chandanachi Uti Kumkum Keshara. Hire Jadita Mukuta Shobha Tobara. Runzunti Nupure Charni Gagariya. Jai Dev Jai Dev Jai Dev. Darshan Matre Mana Kamana Purti Jai Dev Jai Dev. Lambodar Pitambar Panivar Bandhana. Saral Sonda Vakra Tunda Trinayna. Das Ramata Varta He Sadna. Sankati Pava Ve Nirvani Raksha Ve Suror Vandana. Jai Mangal Murti. Darshan Matre Mana Kamana Puti Jai Dev Jai Dev.
Shendralaya Chadayo Archa Gajamukako Bongalaya Viraje Sukagauri Harako Haate Galaddu Sai Suravarako Neimangre Najai Lagatu Padako Jai Dev Vidya Sukadata Swami Sukadata Dhanya Kumara Darshan Naramata Jai Dev Ashto Siddhi Dasi Sankara Koveri Mangalachai Koti Sardarade Esi Shabideri Kanthastara Madamantala Puleshwarari Jai Ganaraj Vidya Sukadata Swami Sukadata धन्य तुम्हारा दर्शन मेरा मदरमता जय देव भाव भगत से कोई शरणागत आवे संतत संपद सब ही भरपूर पावे ऐसे तू महारा मोको अधिभावे गोसावी नंदना निशिदिन गुण गावे जय गणराज विद्या सुखदाता हो स्वामी सुखदाता धन्य तुम्हारा दर्शन मेरा मदरमता जय देव कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी sahitam namami. So now do the mantra Pushpanjali. So if anyone can take Akshara, go ahead. And you can light the karpur as well if you have it. It's a camphor. Om Yajne Devasani Dharmani Pratmana Sammate Hanatam Mahima Sachapurve Saja Santi Deva Om Rajadi Rajaya Pasaya Sahine Om Vaishnavanaya Kurmahe Same Kamana Kama Kamaya Mayam Kameshara Vaishravano Dadatu Kuberaja Vaishravanaya Maharajaya Namaha Om Swasti Samrajam Bhojam Swarajam Vedajam Parmesham Raja Maharata Ismaparya Isha Sarvabhauma Saya Ishaya Paradha Prithve Samparankara Ekaradi Pratasheshoko Adhito Maraparaveshtano Vanasava Sangruhe Avishasasakama Pre Vishwe Deva Sabhasudeti Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvata Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. And so now you can go ahead and offer the Akshada as well to Lord Ganesha.
Moria! Moria!
Thank you so much to the Yuvas in Georgia for conducting the puja. I hope you all are very excited for the performance coming. Now please welcome Anjali Gandhi from University of British Columbia to introduce our performers.
Thank you, Shrestha. Our first performance is by singer Shefali, Panicker, and guitarist Meghna Vasudev. Shefali is a 21-year-old singer from London, Canada. She began singing at the age of 6 under the guidance of her guru, Srimati Shammantakamani Bhashyam, in Carnatic music. Learning classical music gave her the foundation to explore different genres such as Bollywood, pop, R&B, and regional Indian music. Recently, she began posting short covers on different social media platforms such as TikTok and YouTube, where she has garnered millions of views and over 80,000 followers thus far. She is most well known for her TikTok series, in which she combines several languages on one beat. Shefali hopes to continue creating music in unique ways while staying close to her Indian roots. Her other passions include classical dance, volunteering, and teaching children religious values through Hindu organizations such as HSS and the Chinmaya Mission. Meghna is from London, Ontario, and she is 14 years old. She has been playing guitar for 4 years now. Currently, Meghna is interested in producing music and writing songs. She's also an active volunteer for the Chinmaya Mission and HSS.
Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Ganapati Bappa Moria, Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Ganapati Bappa Moria. Sinduravadana Pankajaramana, Sinduravadana Pankajaramana, Sinduravadana Pankajaramana, Ganapati Bappa Moria, 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 Ganapati Bappa Moria. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Pitumat Swami Sakha Hamare, Pitumat Swami Sakha Hamare, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Siddhivinayaka Mangaladata, Siddhivinayaka Mangaladata, Siddhivinayaka Mangaladata, Mangalamurti Moria, 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 Ganapati Bappa Moria. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo, Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo, Radha Ramana Hari Gopal bolo, Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo. Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Ganapati Bappa Moria. Namaste.
amazing performance, beautifully sung and played by both Shefali and Meghna. Our next performer, Rohith Jayaraman, is a vocalist, composer, arranger, and vocal percussionist steeped in the Carnatic tradition. Since 1999, he has trained in Carnatic music under his mother and guru, Asha Ramesh. In 2012, Rohith joined Berklee College of Music on a scholarship, where he was one of the early members of the renowned Berklee Indian Ensemble, arranging and composing for the group. After graduating summa cum laude and with a degree in music therapy in 2015 and interning in expressive arts therapies at the Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, Rohith accepted a staff faculty role at Berklee as the assistant manager of the Berklee India Exchange, co-directing and touring with the ensemble. As a vocalist, composer, and percussionist, Rohith has performed with internationally acclaimed and award-winning artists such as A.R. Rahman, Zakir Hussain, Shreya Ghoshal, John McLaughlin, Shankar Mahadevan, and Tigran Hamasyan. He has studied under and been mentored by some of the greats of contemporary Carnatic music, including Asha Ramesh, R.K. Sri Ram Kumar, Suguna Varadachari, and Vijay Shiva. Rohith teaches Carnatic vocal music, theory, and applications throughout the United States.
Vallabhanayakasya 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 Bhakto Bhavami Vallabhanayakasya Bhakto Bhavami Vallabhanayakasya Bhakto Bhavami Vanchitartadayakasya Varamushikavahanasya Vallabhanayakasya Bhakto Bhavami Vanchitartadayakasya Varamushikavahanasya Vallabhanayakasya Bhakto Bhavami Pallava Padamridutarasya Pallava Padamridutarasya Pallava Padamridutarasya Pallava Padamridutarasya Pallava Padamridutarasya Pashankushadhidarasya Pallava Padamridutarasya Pashankushadhidarasya Mallika Jati Champakaharasya Manimalasya Pallava Pada Mridutarasya Pashankushadhidarasya Mallika Jati Champakaharasya Manimalasya Valli Vivaha Karanasya Guru Guha Pujitasya Valli Vivaha Karanasya Guru Guha Pujitasya Valli Vivaha Karanasya Guru Guha Pujitasya Kali Kala Malini Kamalakshi Sannutasya Dhim Takitajam Gamariga Tarikitajam Tarnatani Nidapasa Tadinginatom Ninidapasa Tadinginatom Dim Takitajam Gamari Gatarikitajam Tarnatani Nidapasa Tadinginatom Ninidapasa Tadinginatom Vallabhanayakasya Bhakto Bhavami Vanchitartadayakasya Varamushikavahanasya Vallabha Nayakasya वल्लभनायकस्य वल्लभनायकस्य भक्तो भवामि
Dhanyavad, thank you so much for these truly beautiful performances. Please now welcome Mithilesh Bhaskaruni from UT Austin to introduce our guest speaker.
Namaste, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our chief guest and speaker for this evening, Chandrikaji Tandon. Chandrikaji is a business leader, Grammy-nominated artist, and Hendon Capital Associates, focusing on measurable transformation of institutions to excellence. Additionally, she chairs the Krishnamurti Tandon Foundation and Board of Trustees, chair of the President's Global Council, and chair of the board of the NYU Tandon School of Engineering. She also holds prominent positions at Yale University, Berklee College of Music, and the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. Chandrikaji's album, Soul Call, topped world music charts, earning a Grammy nomination. She's released a total of 4 albums, bringing together ancient Sanskrit chants with classical Indian music and global sounds. Her voice has been heard at many major venues around the world, such as the Lincoln Center and the Smithsonian. Chandrikaji has received several awards for her integrity and leadership, including the Gallatin Medal, New York University's highest honor for outstanding contributions to society, and the Polytechnic Medal for her involvement in science and engineering. Over the course of today's talk, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we'll try to get to them. Over to you, Chandrikaji.
I want to say what a spectacular puja that was. You know, I had tears in my eyes almost watching all of you do this beautiful puja, recite all these beautiful mantras, and it was very touching. And Shefali, Meghna, and Rohith, your singing was really, you know, soul touching. And I know from some of the comments, everybody felt that way, but thank you for sharing this music. What a great way to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi with all of you. So here's what I thought I'd do. I'd just give you a little bit of a talk, and then we can open it up to questions. Make sense? Look, Ganesh Chaturthi is a very, very important day in the whole history of Hinduism. You know, growing up where I come from in Chennai, the concept of Ganesha wasn't everything we did. It wasn't just about the day that Ganesh Chaturthi was celebrated, 1 day or 10 days. It was about Ganesha in every aspect of your life. Why? Because Ganesha is the god of beginnings. Ganesha is the remover of obstacles. So every time I went to an exam, there's a very little symbol that we would write, which is like a 2 with 2 lines underneath it. And that you would just write that before any exam started, just to remind you, you are not in charge. However hard you've worked, you could end up with all kinds of crazy stuff happening to you in the middle of the exam. There's something called grace that's going to lead you forward. It was sort of a relief to, after having done the work, to shed your burden and give it over to somebody else, somebody bigger than you. Ganesha, in the biggest sense, what does it signify for us in Hinduism and as a deity? It signifies wisdom and humor. Wisdom is a critical concept in all our lives. Wisdom, every religion talks about wisdom. You know, the Bible, you've got, you know, the Book of Solomon, you know, there are many, many sections in the Bible that talk about wisdom. But in the Hindu religion, we've raised the concept of wisdom to a whole deity. It's a god, it's the god of beginnings. Ganesha, that aspect of divinity is Ganas, the god that basically is for the common man. So it pervades everything and all the aspects for everybody. In fact, the prayers that were recited earlier, I don't know who was reciting the prayers, it basically talks of Ganesha as being all pervading and all inclusive and in every part of what we do. And I think the concept of wisdom is what I thought I'd spend a few minutes on today. So what is wisdom? Wisdom is a combination of knowledge and discrimination. Would you all agree we need wisdom in our lives? Because wisdom is not just about being smart and accomplishing things. It is also about leading a life, a purposeful, happy, thoughtful, conscious life. That's what wisdom helps you do. And that's what the concept of Ganesha is supposed to signify. So let me, and I like alliteration. So I'm going to just talk about 3 ideas, if you like, and then you guys can do with it what you want. But let me tell you what's worked for me when I think about this concept of wisdom. I think of the first I, if you like, of what I call immersion. Because you need knowledge. You can't have wisdom without knowledge. You can't just sit in an armchair, never having gone to school, never having gone to college, or never having studied, just suddenly say, oh, wisdom came to me. It doesn't quite work that way. You need some basics of knowledge. And for knowledge to be useful and valuable, you need to have immersion in this. When I was, I went to work for McKinsey when I was 23 years old. I became a partner when I was, a few years, 4 or 5 years after that. And in my 20s and in my 30s, I really didn't see the light of day. It wasn't just McKinsey. Even when I started my own firm, I was an entrepreneur. I worked really hard. I gave it my all. And it was intense. I mean, of course, I had all these debates and discussions in my head about, can I have it all? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? But trade-offs are everywhere. You have to immerse yourself to get knowledge. And the same thing happened. I mean, we speak about my having gone into music. But music, it didn't come easily. And, I was running a company. I still am running a company. I have many, it wasn't that I could literally give up everything and then just start singing. I was a family person. I had a daughter. I still have one. So what I would do is I would get up at 4 in the morning and drive for 2 hours for my classes, have a 2-hour class and drive back by about 10:30 or 11, just in time to wake up my daughter on Saturdays and then get on with the rest of my life. It wasn't hard. I mean, I tell you, I traded off lots of hours of sleep. Fortunately, I'm still alive and in reasonably good health for having done that through my early years. But that's what it took. Immersion took a lot of effort. But that is just the starting point. Immersion only gets you so far. Immersion is not the whole picture of wisdom. So what is the next I that I would talk about? The next I that I would have you guys think about is what I call inclusion. All too often, we settle into one dimension and settle into it very quickly. We think our proclivities or we are good at science. Oh, I'm good at science. I'm good at poetry. I'm good at this. And we settle into that track. We pigeonhole and pocket up. We get into pigeonholes and pockets. And, the more you can open your vision, the more wise you will really be. Sitting where I am sitting now, I really have no business being here. I was sitting, way before the internet, way before I didn't own a television when I grew up, right? So I'm sitting here looking at the world in a tiny little town in India where I wasn't really exposed to anything, but my whole world was opened up because of Shakespeare and Thackeray and Longfellow and Wordsworth, and all my dreams had names, places, and faraway pictures. I didn't know I'd get to them, but interestingly enough, I've gotten to most of them, including a place called Pendennis, which I went to in Cornwall just last year, which was the whole history of Pendennis by Thackeray, which I read. You have to open your mind. And, I sit on the board. We spoke earlier about my being on the board of the engineering school. I mean, I chair the board of an engineering school. I'm very active in academics I have been for several years now. I didn't go to college in America. I don't have a liberal arts education. But you learn a lot. But what I'm really good at is I ask so many questions. I'm the biggest idiot in the room that's not afraid to ask the questions. And the same thing with music. We spoke about Shefali having worked with Indian music and so on. this is all I do. I mean, this is what I think about. I'm very deeply trained in Indian music, but I'm equally excited about listening to all genres and opening up my mind. Now, the reason you open up your mind and think of inclusion is because your brain, neuroplasticity is alive and well. And your brain has an extraordinary ability to create dots. I'm actually one in meetings that I go to now because of my arts background, my science background, my business background, and my, all the work that I do in the social sector. I have lots of things to say that most people don't think about. So what I would say to you is, so inclusion is about areas and things that you learn about. That's part of wisdom. The other part of inclusion is also about people. We are so often stuck in our own thoughts, in our own vision of what we know, and very quickly, especially as coming from Hindu traditions, and not to be prejudiced in any way, but I know how brilliant you guys and girls are. You really are. I mean, the genetics seem to be wildly in our favor. But, you can so easily settle into this thing which says, I know the answers. And part of inclusion is really opening up your heart, your brain, your comprehension, your questions, so you can understand people. If you're a leader, and some of you already are in leadership roles in YUVA and in other places, but you're all going to become bigger leaders. Leadership is not about machines. Leadership is about managing a group of people, their hopes and expectations, and really allowing them to be their best selves. That's what a leader ultimately does. That's what the great leaders do. So inclusion is just something you have to really create a very, very broad lens with which you view the world. Immersion, inclusion. The third eye, which is very relevant to us as Hindus particularly, but it's relevant to all human beings, and it's very relevant to young people, is what I'm going to call introspection. If there is one gift and one idea I would like you to take away from today, it is that seek wisdom about yourself. Seek wisdom about yourself. You are one of the most exciting, complicated, interesting machines on the planet. Many of you, you all work with computers, you work with all sorts of things, but you are one of the most complicated machines. But you need to completely understand the manual of your machine. And we don't even look inward. We're so busy looking outward and blaming everything and being excited about everything and all of that. 22 years ago, at the height of my professional career, when I literally came back in from Europe, I had to sign a major deal. It wasn't, I can't even tell you the kind of scale of that deal, many, many big dollars. I came back to New York from Europe, and I decided I couldn't sign the deal. It was a spiritual crisis, I guess. I kind of wasn't sure why. It wasn't like anything had gone wrong, but that got me into a complete epiphany moment almost, where I had to really stop and look at questions of who am I? What is success? Why am I here? What if I died today? Would I have led a good life? I mean, I am super type A. I was super type A, but I was a stressed out super type A. And this led me on a journey which was unbelievable, is all I can say. It's changed my life so dramatically. It's not that I went off to a mountaintop to chant Om. I love chanting Om, but not in a mountaintop. I'm very much in the world. I mean, my response, I'm probably working 3 or 4 times as hard as I did before, and I worked pretty hard before. But the prism with which I view the world and view my life and view everyone has altered dramatically. My stress has almost gone away. It's, I would truly say I live every day with choices, and I'm really happy. I practice a whole lot of things and back to my music. That's why I have all these dimensions of music. I went back to all the ancient traditions of pranayama and meditation. I went into retreats. I really got a hold of myself to understand who I was, what I'm about, and to experience the world through me, not through you, but through me. And that was a profound learning. And that is why I spend my life, I still have my business, but I give a tremendous amount of time to service. I didn't go to NYU, but I went to NYU and I said, I want to work with you. I just want to serve you guys. I don't want any money. And the next thing I knew, I was, teaching at the business school, and then I started to join the different boards, and I just did it, not because anyone paid me, or I wasn't even looking for power. There was zero I wanted from it. I simply wanted to serve. And I still simply want to serve. It changed my view of perfection. I spent a lifetime, thinking I was not good enough. I was stressed out, before I ever walked into a speech, walked into a meeting, I would have a little Grand Central Station of trains crisscrossing, of emotions crisscrossing. All that stopped. I am perfection. You are perfection at the moment, the way you are. I just stopped this whole nonsense in my head of I'm not good enough. I'm a perfectionist, which basically means every minute I'm trying to do something better. And that means that now is never enough. That perspective changed. That was a big deal, because a lot of times we spend so much time in that useless stuff that goes through in our head. And what it did, it allowed me to access unbelievable oceans of creativity. And I can tell you that, I was nominated for a Grammy, but, honestly, all the music that I compose, most of it has come through great meditation and in my quietest moments. When you're quiet, you can access much deeper realms. And we all, this group of all of us, we are so privileged. Why? Because we come from this lineage of rishis and saints. We have 10,000 years of spiritual science. And these saints and rishis and everybody basically didn't look at the body as one thing, or they had a holistic vision of a whole human being. It's energy, body, mind, intellect, all of that, right? And they looked at the interaction between food and exercise, that breath. That's why you have yoga, pranayama, all of that. All that's our tradition, right? And the whole world the scientific world isn't going to catch up with it for a very long time. And the most important thing that this tells you, which ties back to introspection, is that our tradition says to us, don't believe what I have to tell you. It tells you, go figure it out yourself. And you can't figure anything out unless you take the time to introspect, and that is the critical skill. And if you don't develop the skill, you would be losing a whole gift that's been given to you by reason of your birth and you have easy access to. So COVID is a complicated time, and it's upended a lot of us. And by the way, and so we have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball. No one has a crystal ball. But remember, we are all on this planet for a very short time frame. Yeah, a lot of you are in your 20s, early, very young, and you think you have 100 years ahead. But even if you live for 80 good years, right? That's a very small, period in a planet which has been there a billion years, has been there a billion years before you, and will be there a billion years after you. You are a little ant in that whole spectrum. I'm an ant that's almost ending. But the reason I'm saying it is not to trivialize anything about who we are, but just look at our lives with humor. I mean, put it in perspective. We can get all stressed out and take ourselves much too seriously. It just doesn't make sense to do that. So I just want to add my blessings to all of you, and let your paths ahead be filled with love, light, and laughter. And all my best to all of you. You are the best. Amazing.
Thank you so much, Chandrikaji. I'm incredibly inspired by you and everything that you've shared with us here today. We have quite a few questions that are coming in through the chat that you might see. But if it's okay, maybe I can pick one of them. Would love for you to share your insight. So one really important, I think, question that came up in our chat here was how we as Hindu youth can be ambassadors in diverse settings and sharing that wisdom in different settings.
You know, I think there's a really important point to keep in mind, which is the way you lead is by example. You don't lead by going up and standing on top of a podium. You can do that too, but that's not how you're going to, get everybody excited about our whole lineage. So what are the elements of who we are, okay? We have ethics. Dharma is full of important themes. I mean, Hinduism basically laid out a beautiful way of life. Our 10 commandment equivalents are so spectacular and so, we've written the manual on bioethics. We've written, if you go into some of the texts of Hinduism. So I would say, number one, to lead a ethical life, because one of the things that I hear, we see whenever you see issues, when people try to get too aggressive about wanting to get somewhere at all kinds of means. So just lead a life of goodness to the extent you can define goodness. And the other thing, which I think we don't do as good a job of, and that's why I was so excited to hear what you guys were talking about as a YUVA, working in terms of with the Vivekananda House and so on, is like the Catholic Church, is extremely good. During COVID times, the churches really organized themselves dramatically in terms of service. Everywhere there were health fairs, there were youth fairs. I mean, there were drug rehabilitation. There's so anxiety. So we as a group of Hindus have to come together much, much, much more strongly in service. Because one of the tendencies, and maybe you as a generation don't have it as much, one of the tendencies we have is to say, oh, I just want to do work in India. Look, for many years, we've given a lot of money in India. We've done a lot of work in India. We've got to do that too. But we are here. We are in America. We are in this country. A person who's African-American in the Bronx is equally dear to me as somebody like you. I mean, I feel more proud of you because we share a lineage, but to me, my heart goes out the same way. So that's what we need to be doing. So I would love to see a lot of initiatives by Hindu youth towards the community that we are in, not for the Hindus alone. It is for everyone, and create a voice that way. And there are many other thoughts. We don't have that much time, but this is a topic which we should really discuss at great length.
I agree, and especially your sort of key message around us as Hindu youth in particular uniting during this time and standing together. And I think your key, sort of the 3 I's you listed out around immersion, inclusion, and introspection are ones that will, I think, stick with us and guide us in that path. I know we're just at, it looks like we're nearing 10 right now. But we had a lot of great other questions, and if it's okay, maybe we can share them with you afterwards as well.
Please do that.
But thank you so much, Chandrikaji. We are incredibly honored to have you with us here today.
Thank you, and I'm so privileged to be here with you. I'm so touched, and I feel so proud of all of you. That's what I want to say to you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud that we're all part of the same family.
Same here. We are too. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will be ending our night by doing Visarjan, which is signifying Ganesha leaving our homes. The Visarjan will be conducted by YUVAs from UT Dallas and UT Arlington. You can perform the Visarjan at your own time if you'd like, or if you do have water around you, please do it with us.
Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh Deva. Mata Jagi Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh Deva. Mata Jagi Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Ekadant Dayavant Char Bhujadhari. माथे पर तिलक सोहे मुँह से की सवारी हे पर तिलक सोहे मुझसे की सवारी। जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। पान चढ़े फूल चढ़े और चढ़े मेवा। चढ़े फूल चढ़े और मेवा। लड्डू अनका भोग लगे संत करे सेवा। लड्डू का भोग लगे संत करे सेवा। जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। माता जागी पिता महादेवा। अंधे को आँख दे तो कोड़ियों को काया। देखो आँख दे तो कोड़ियों को काया। धन को पुत्र दे तो निर्धन को माया। धन को पुत्र दे तो निर्धन को माया। जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। सूर श्याम शरण आए सफल किए सेवा। सूर श्याम शरण आए सफल कीजिए सेवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। माता जागी पिता महादेवा। जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा।
गणपति बप्पा मोरया। गणपति बप्पा मोरया। मंगलमूर्ती मोरया।
कर्पूर गौरम करुणावतारम संसार सारम भुजगेन्द्रहारम सदा वसंतम हृदयारविंदे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। ॐ यज्ञेन यज्ञमय्यन्त देवाः स्थानि धर्माणि प्रथमान्यासन्नः देवनाथं महिमानश्च यत्र पूर्वे साध्या सन्ति देवाः। ॐ राजाधिराजाय प्रसय्य साहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे। समे कामान् कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु। कुबेराज वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः। ॐ स्वस्ति साम्राज्यं भोजं स्वराज्यं वैराज्यं पारमेष्टं राज्यं महाराजमाधिपत्यमयं समन्तपर्या ईशा सार्वभौम सार्वाय शान्तार्धात् परागात् पृथिव्यै समुद्रपर्यन्ताय एकराळिति तदपेश श्लोको विदितो मत्परिवेष्टारो मरुतस्यावसन्गृहे आलिश्यत सकामपुरे विश्वे देवाः सभासवैति। ॐ एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात्। गणपति बाप्पा मोरया। मंगलमूर्ती मोरया।
I now request Jamin Ji, National Vice President of Hindu Yuva, to conclude the event on behalf of all of us and the Hindu Yuva chapters.
Namaste everyone. This has been a very unique and amazing experience to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi with so many people throughout the country. On behalf of the organizing committee and Hindu Yuva, I would like to thank Chandrikaji Tandon for her excellent and enthusiastic remarks that I am sure will help us guide through these challenging times. Chandrikaji, we are inspired by your remarks and we are confident that we will use our Hindu values as we develop into the next generation of Hindu American leaders. and to truly think globally but act locally. I would also like to thank Rohith Jayaraman for his serene rendition of Vallabha Nayakasya. Shefali Panicker and Meghna Vasudev, thank you so much for lending your beautiful voice and music at the feet of Vinayaka. Lastly, I would like to thank the participants for making this unique event a great and successful one. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi, everyone. Ganapati Bappa Moria.